Find out. Well, joining us now with what they would like to see coming out of this meeting, Republican Congressman John Culberson of Texas and Democratic Congressman Robert Andrews from New Jersey. Gentlemen, thank you both for joining us.
Thank you.
All right. Well, Congressman Culberson, what would you like to see come out of this meeting today?
Well, as a constitutional conservative, I understand that the money does not belong to the government. It's not our money to compromise with. So we want, as fiscal conservatives, no one's tax rates to go up. Again, we are facing, as you said in the lead-in to this report, the biggest tax increase in American history. It's already November 30th. The IRS is preparing their tax forms. People need to be able to plan for the upcoming year. This is an urgent priority for the Congress to get together arm in arm and pass legislation that would prevent anyone's taxes from going up. In order to ensure that the economy grows, let's make sure people keep their own money to invest, save, and create jobs. They'll do a far better job with the money than the government.
Well, on that point, Congressman Andrews, why should the government get our money? How can you raise taxes in this type of economic environment?
Well, I think one of the other questions is can we continue borrowing 38% of the federal budget from the Chinese and others? But let me make a prediction. I do think John's right that we need stability right now. People do need to plan on the tax code, make their business and family plans for the next couple of years. And I think we'll have a compromise before the Christmas holiday comes along. If I had to predict, I think it will be a 2-year extension of all existing rates for all Americans. Frankly, that's not my personal point of view, but I think that's where the compromise is going.
Well, talking of compromise, what compromise do you think, Congressman Andrews, there could be with regard to the Bush tax cuts that you could live with?
Well, here's what I would support. I would support a lower capital gains rate for all investors at every income level. I would keep the ordinary income rates where they are now for people under $250,000. I'd have the ordinary income rates go up for the top 5%, but I would have lower capital gains rates for that top 5%. So if they invest in job creation, there's benefit for the whole country. That's my own personal view. That's what I don't think that will be the compromise, though, this month. I think we'll see probably a 2-year extension of the present rates for everyone.
Do you
agree
with
news for everyone?
You think that's good news, Senator Culberson? Congressman Culberson. Also, let me just get into the spending cuts issue. Spending cuts alone, to your point, won't be balancing the budget anytime soon. So where else do we find the money to tackle the federal deficit?
Well, right now, first of all, I think it's important that you, Rob Andrews, who is a well-respected member of the House, well-respected within his caucus and throughout the membership, has just pointed out that he believes the compromise is going to be to keep everyone's tax rates at current levels for 2 years. And, Rob, that's a great compromise. I think that's where we need to be as a Congress. And if that can be done quickly, that's good news for the American economy and for the American taxpayer. And on the spending level, as a member of the Appropriations Committee, I'll be a chairman of a subcommittee in January, I'm prepared immediately to move through my subcommittee to cut spending levels dramatically. I'd like to see us move back as a starting point to 2008 levels. I think we need to make all of these agencies justify their budgets from the bottom up, essentially zero-based budgeting, as we have done in Texas for many years, and do everything we can as a Congress to cut discretionary spending as far as humanly possible.
Right.
And that's critical. Cut taxes, cut spending in order to grow the economy and get us back on track to a balanced budget.
Actually, I think that the biggest story of the day is the story tomorrow. Unfortunately, it looks like the Deficit Reduction Commission is not going to have the votes to report out a report. Listen, about 2/3 of what we spend here is Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, and defense and debt service. It's about 64, 65%. If you don't address those concerns, John's right, discretionary needs to be addressed, but 2/3 of the money is in those categories, and there's a serious proposal that Alan Simpson and Erskine Bowles have put forward.
Right.
I hope we get a vote on it in the Congress, because I think we need to.
That's a good point. Guys, let me bring you in here. Todd, what do you think is going to come out of today's meeting? Is it just more publicity and not really down to brass tacks?
I absolutely do. And I have a question for both gentlemen, though, is that we're talking about tax levels, tax rates. What about a state tax, the kiddie tax, AMT? What about child tax credit? Or when we're talking about a compromise of extending these for 2 years, you must be giving up something. I mean, will we also be looking at the death tax being extended?
I think that you'll see the state tax will be extended with the present exemption levels. It won't fall all the way back to the 2001 levels at the same rates as part of that 2-year compromise. That's what I think we'll get.
And I think, Rob, I'm delighted to hear Rob say that. It is the message the country sent us in the election was overwhelmingly in favor of spending cuts, tax cuts. Let's make sure we grow the economy and create jobs. The country is very concerned about the levels of deficit spending, and I think that Rob's right. That is the direction that I think that Congress will go in keeping everyone's tax rates the same. I hope it's a permanent extension, Rob, but if we can get 2 years, I think that's a good compromise.
That's a debate we're going to have, but I think one thing John said at the beginning is very true. I think that businesses and families that are planning to invest or not invest in the next 24 months need to have some certainty. And it's our job to give them that certainty. I think we should do it sooner rather than later. Ultimately, I think wherever 60 senators go is where this is going to be. And if I can count votes in the Senate, I think there's 60 votes for a 2-year extension.
I think that's right, because many of those senators are up for re-election in 2 years. They saw the result of the election this time and are obviously concerned about it. And it's a reasonable position that Rob has pointed out, that we, at an absolute minimum, need to extend these current tax rates for 2 years.
Guys,
let me just jump in here real quick.
The 2012 election, for that to be one of the questions for the voters to decide.
Yeah, right, that's right.
Guys, they're getting along so well. I hope this is an indication of what's going on inside.
Make sure it spreads to the rest of Congress. Is that what it is? You guys do get along, I can see.
Kimberly, let me get your thoughts on this. Well, based on what the Congress told us, is that encouraging?
Absolutely, but the conversation that we've just witnessed between these two gentlemen seems like they get it. I hope everybody else gets it, because I think it really should be a no-brainer at this point.
There are many more members who have this kind of ability to compromise. You know, the media does cover the crashes at the NASCAR races, so they cover the disputes here. There's a lot more agreement here than people think, and I do think people of goodwill like John can get things done.
That's true. And hey, Rob and I both have teenage daughters, you know, so we both have a lot in common.
We're both interested in cracking down on dating across the country.
As a father of 4, I totally understand, gentlemen. All right, we are out of time. Representative John Culberson, Republican from Texas, and Representative Robert Andrews, Democrat from New Jersey. We can all get along.
It was great.